We now return to Let's Play Cities Skylines. Okay, I'm going to do a few things here to try and tighten up the city just a little bit. First thing we're going to do, we're going to fix this dreadful turnaround going a mile to get down there. We're going to actually pause for a moment, and I'm going to take this out of here. Which is unfortunate because I spent some time trying to make this work and get it to be nice, but it's actually very important that we have some kind of turnaround. So I'm going to do a quick little grab. You know what? That is perfect. And then we can just put this path back in. That's, you know what? I don't want that. I would actually like you to be like the other one. There. And we'll just go ahead and put in some trees now. Let this run. Up some of those. And we'll just kind of beautify it like that. And a couple tiny trees. There you go. Alright, so now we don't have to go so dang far. Whoops. But we do need to fix the auto junction. I do not want that. God damn it. I suppose we should probably turn this... Well, you know what? We could just not. We could just not. It's not going to matter. So we won't. Okay. So we got a lot of demand again, as per usual, coming in. Let's go ahead and put some of that into this. Yeah, fine. Put that in there. Actually, no. Let's make these little commercial. Nah, we won't, because then that'll just cause noise pollution. In fact, I would like to go ahead and try doing this again, making the necessary adjustment here. Let's put in park. It's not park. That will do. That will do. And we can just kind of do a path. I'm actually kind of surprised that that even hooks up to it. I'm completely honest here. There we go. That is not the right one. Ay. Okay. Well. It got me again, game. Honestly, don't know if that's gonna go. Probably not. Alright. Alright, now we do want a little bit of commercial somewhere. Actually, that's kind of what this was for. Grab you again. Just keep eating off of that as we go. And we're going to kind of fill in some of the road areas up here. So let's grab you. And we will make this a proper road. Let's grab this. I get that up to... Well, obviously we're going to have to do a little bit of curving. It does tend to be the way. Do a little connect there, and then we'll go back and adjust. Apparently I've got my music settings just a little too quiet this time, but that's okay. Now, City Skylines does actually have different music tracks that you can get. There we go. One of which is jazz. Now, while I know that the main theme is not going to be flagged for copyright, just because that's how they did that, which is nice, the extra stuff, the little sound packages, I don't believe are as protected. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're not. How can I make this look better? We'll do one of these in here. We're getting one of those, but then we're gonna have to come in here and do it looks a little silly. I think that's an okay angle. This is not so much. Really probably should have just hand-drawn the whole thing at this point. I mean, really, let's just... There you go. Some kind of loop there that will pop out the other side. And that's a little bit better. Okay, so commercial demand. Let's finish maybe doing some demand up here. Speaking of jazz and how it tends to relate to city building games, thanks in large part to SimCity. I did a terrible thing and started playing SimCity 3 again. I don't know why. I'm not going to do another series on it, but there's a lot of DLC and other expansions that came out after I had finished playing the game, and one of which is like a Showtime. I think it's the Showtime. Where you can be like a performer, and you can be like a magic performer, and when you are doing a magic act, it starts playing some very familiar music, which is from SimCity 3000. SimCity 3000 had a very good soundtrack. Alright, well, let that develop. That's actually not too bad. I'm okay with the way this is going to develop on the hill. I think it'll be alright. In fact, why don't we just continue a connector here? Not here, but say here. I never really played the first SimCity. You know, back when SimCity and SimCity 2000 were available to myself, it was available to myself. The only systems I had at the time were Nintendos. I did not have a computer until, well, I want to say late middle school, but anyway, so that was one of the games I just never played. And it's not much to look at. And there is a 3D program. It's called, it might just actually be called 3D City. It's a web browser version of the first one, but in 3D. And I gave it a try. It's very simplistic, and there's definitely a way to play the game. I mean, it's very exploitable to make it grow and all that. But it made me think about doing SimCity 2000 as a series. That's a game that I've wanted to play. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're getting a little bit burnt out on city builders, or at least I am. But at the same time, it's kind of what I do, and there's other ones that I want to try, like Nebuchadnezzar, for example. A modern take on sort of the old walker-based... That's not an actual road, that's just a walking path. Walker-based impressions city building games, historical city building games. I like it. I'm impressed by it. I think that it's probably something that I would consider doing a series on. The only thing is that it's a new game, and I'm always leery about doing new games, especially from indie developers, because they end up putting out tons of patches, and so I don't know if I want to just wait until the inevitable patching and getting better, or just give it a shot now while there's interest and it's a new game. It doesn't have a sandbox mode. In fact, it's just got like a hand-holding tutorial campaign so far. I don't know how deep the campaign is in the initial release, and that's what's got me nervous. Is it's how much of the game is actually a game right now, and how much of it is, well, we just needed to get this out, and now we're gonna slow roll it. Which, it happens. Speaking of slow rolling, years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago now, I did a Let's Play of Caves of Qud, one of the few roguelites, roguelikes that I have done. I stopped doing it. Well, I stopped doing it because I ended up losing the saves, and that's what killed the series. But I have, you know what? That is the wrong thing. I never went back to it because they ended up doing a lot of development on it, like weekly update quantity, and for the past several years. Well, recently I think they just released 2.0, and it's a little bit different of a game from just what I've gathered from watching or looking at the updates, the news for the updates. But I don't know how far back I want to get into that, learning that game again. What is this for a zone? It is no zone right now. I was thinking of maybe having it East Bank, but maybe this should be Shine Village, or is this going to be part of Fortune Valley? How big is Fortune Valley going to be? That I don't know. I guess I'd kind of cut this off to be Diamond Hills, but should maybe Diamond Hills will be a little bit further back. I don't know. The only thing here, okay, you know what, we'll just go ahead and expand this because I want it to be a part of this anyhow. And what we're going to do, well, when I say I want it to be a part of this, what I mean is I want it to have the same policies. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to change a policy to, is it smart plastic? High-tech housing? Sure, let's try that one. Maybe it'll make it look a little bit better, more interesting. We are getting into some money right now. That is pleasing. Not that it is actually difficult to make money in this game because of how imbalanced everything is. The Spiffing Brit, who I am subscribed to, who does exploit videos on various games, just put out one recently. He's done several on this game, but he did just one where basically he closed off sections of the city via pathways through parks. And so every time you have to go through a gate, someone has to pay the fee. Well, so basically what he's done is instead of having roadways connecting here, people get from like a residential area to a commercial area by going through about a dozen or two gates of Park Place, and that's how he generates money. He doesn't have any services or anything, he just has them going that way. He's done another one like that with toll booths, which is something I had considered putting out here because we have so much traffic. I was actually really thinking that maybe we could utilize that, but what the Spiffing Brit would do is he'd probably put a dozen toll booths on here, and the only ways in and out of the city would be through massive amounts of tolls. But given the quantity of traffic, I think I would be remiss in not doing that. I mean, it's just not something I would do on my own, like in an actual city, but Where are those anyway? Okay, so this is the smaller one. So we'd have to... Okay, that would fit there. So yeah, well, we're not hurting for money. It's not... I mean, we're unlimited anyway. But, you know, just an idea. Oh, another thing I wanted to do. We don't have... Okay, well, I did put a park here. We don't have a whole lot of them, though. What the hell? Parks and plazas, I guess, is that. This one does not have anything. And, okay, so how do we put one in here? Close that off. I mean, that's a little commercial area down there, but maybe I could get a dip here. Yeah, I actually don't like what's going on here. Maybe we can cover that up as this develops out. But maybe a park right in there would do well. There is a ton of traffic coming out of here. Only 90 people, though, compared to, say, Grand Central down here, where we've got 700, or Park Place out here, with its almost 1,000 passengers. Train lines are nuts. Where was I? Here. Yeah, we're not get that one, and that's definitely the wrong one. That's a bit better. You know what? We'll do that one right there. As a playground. It's okay. We can still do dog park. In fact, I think dog parks would be a little bit better. Let's put a dog park right there. It's kind of... I don't like that, actually. I think it'd be better over here, but just because you can't get there from here. It is definitely one of the issues. Can we... Ugh. Really wish it was easier to just take small sections. Okay, and then we'll go back to you. So we'll go back to you. Pause for one momento, please. And we appear to have killed this. Go put that back in. Alright, so demand has meant that this is not developing back. Unfortunate. But that is now sectioned off, and this needs water. Still can't remember what I was going to put there. But we are seeing more commercial. Just going to put in more commercial. And why don't we actually put in a parking lot there, because that would have some parking if people were to come in here. Yeah. There, across the street. Okay, and then I can just ignore this. We will treeify this. And Let's give it a rock for good measure. We will Charlie Brown it. You know, putting that park there, I'm still not convinced this is where I want this, largely because, I mean, it's better off over here. So now that I'm rethinking my life, let's move this. Again. We'll move that, and we will move you over here where you're actually going to do some good. In fact, now that is a building right there. Obviously, it is a specific building, is what I meant. I've been on the fence about whether I want this part to develop or whether I want this to just remain a green space, but I'm going to have it develop. So now we can have you move over to here, and we're going to tear down nothing. Nothing is going to be lost by doing this. They didn't like that. Okay. And now I guess this parking lot is for you, sir. And all that valuable land. See, here's why I was shuffling a lot of this stuff around, you know, high school and all that. This whole area is meant to be, because it's the boardwalk area, it is meant to be very high growth, land value, all that stuff. It's supposed to be desirable for a commercial area, and so having things like, you know, a school or like a library or whatever in that area doesn't really fit. In fact, now that I've got you in mind, let's well, you're really not touching much that way. How about over here? This is slightly better. How about this way? Interesting. So this actually connects via road. Now it's better. So now that opens up another spot right there. How's the death wave? How are we handling the death wave this time? I'm not seeing too terribly much. No more than normal congestion. So that's actually pretty good. And, you know, I'm considering doing another episode of beautification. Just kind of let it roll and listen to some music to have on in the background. Not something you really need to pay attention to. Not that I think most people do. Anyway, and I guess I kind of wanted to do that here too. We may as well just finish up some of the greening. Kind of wish there was a man. Look at all the ants. There are. This is a very walkable city. Ooh, yes. Whilst I'm here thinking about this, I'm gonna pause for a moment. I was gonna have this area just kind of be its own little thing, but it makes sense to actually connect it. So let's think about that now. I'm gonna pick, I guess, tree line. Sure. Well, it wouldn't be tree line. It would be this. And then we're going to take you down, and we're going to, I guess we'll snap you so that you actually do something. 1, 2, 3. That's the wrong one. There we go. And now for you, let's come down a few. There, perfect. You, strangely, did not get upgraded. That is the problem solved. Connection. Okay, well, I will hold off on that. Now, thing is, these walking paths have now been destroyed. So we got to put those back in so that people actually have a reason. And one of you is getting blown up. Okay. So now we should have enough of that. And... Okay, that's still green. I'm still on the fence about putting any kind of commercial or whatever on this side. I might just put trees. Yeah, because if we're going to do this, I mean, look at the noise pollution. It's going to extend quite deeply, and I don't care for that myself. So, we'll let the game run again, and we'll back on. All right, let's give you another shot. It's honestly about equally sporadic. It's just, you know, tree size and all that is not the same. I apologize if my voice is a little bit scratchy. I was out doing physical labor. Which is kind of funny, because for the past 5 years, my job was very physically intensive. Like, very physically intensive. Probably put on a good 15 pounds of muscle. And then I quit my job, and I have been sitting on my ass for the past 4 months, and boy, am I out of shape. Like, you wouldn't believe. So, when springtime gets here in, like, late June, I am going to be trying to do a little bit more self-care. You know what? That will work. This could be a little bit denser. You know, initially stuff like this would bother me. I very much enjoy the grid layout. But the variety of this city it's really got some character. More than most of the games, or the, you know, cities that I build in these kinds of games. For one thing, I don't even know how the hell I would label a street. Like, they all now connect and make loops and stuff, but you know, every little neighborhood has its own kind of layout. Like, obviously this is just your pretty much standard 2x1 grid layout that is City Skylines is good for. Obviously this is the denser version of that, minus the squares here for sort of the mixed commercial and residential with the plaza in the middle. I actually very much like these squares, and I think I mentioned before in an episode, but if I could do it again, I would make all of downtown look like this, so it is far less dense, and I think that would look better too, because you get down in here, and boy, it just doesn't. Let's pause for a moment, please. I want to look at this through your eyes. How does this one work? Oh, okay. This one's different. This is not the one. This is a freewheeling drive here. This is me walking in the middle of the street. But yeah, just look how dense this is. And for 2 lanes, I think that. Okay. Oh, I have possessed an old man. Let us escape from that. Oh boy. I think this would look a lot better with this kind of density if all the streets were 4-lane as opposed to 2-lane. This really isn't how I envisioned this looking when I did the layouts, um, particularly because the layouts that I'm used to for this, or the density I'm used to with these kinds of layouts, is something a little bit more along, this height. I think once you get to the bigger towers, it's almost a necessity to have the 4 lanes, and it probably would help traffic flow. I mean, traffic flow's not terrible. It's got a few problem intersections for sure, but it's not overall bad. But just for the sake of it, just using 4-lane traffic as opposed to saving 4 lanes only for feeder rows, you just have more options. Possibly more traffic snarling, where you've got turning and straight and whatever the hell. That might cause a lot more intersection grievance, but otherwise I think that it would look better if it were like this, where it was squared out, so there's a little bit of green space in the middle, or a little bit of airspace, and then you've got the wide traffic going through, and then reaching out to neighborhoods. I actually very much like this layout. I've mentioned that before, but I really actually do kind of like how this looks. It is very uniform and cookie cutter, and that is very much not intended. I did not expect that, but when your buildings are only a certain size, I guess the game only has so many models available, but it looks very good. It's got density to it, but it's also spacious, and largely because of the same thing, where it's got the green space in the middle, and that really actually helps with land value for sure. What do we have for leisure? I mean, that's pretty much everywhere, but yeah, it's a very good layout. Hey, this is also interesting. It looks, I don't know, it doesn't really work. It looks very suburban, but it just doesn't really do the trick. And somehow this happened where these got separated. That's very awkward. So now you got these weird row house rows that are popping up because of these one by. I think that alone is probably an issue. It reminds me, I need to save a zone for European style. Maybe that's what the royal court will look like. We'll save this as a European neighborhood because that's where I'm going to put the castle and all that. Speaking of, I should probably develop this, seeing as how I've already got sort of an idea for it out here, and then maybe do the airport. Maybe we'll do that next episode. Because this is getting all over the place with just fitting in geometry, and it's kind of weird, but I don't know, the way this works, and maybe it's just because of the road usage, where I'm using these unmarked streets, it looks very paved and parking lot-ish. There's a lot of gray in there, whereas this is a little bit more dense. It's hard to see, but this one's also actually got a little bit of that going on, mostly because of the pathways. At least you got some greenery, and I do actually very much like putting in sort of the garnish, I guess, on your neighborhoods. Like this section right here looks very green and healthy, and obviously because it's got tons of trees in it that you're not getting when you're making a dense grid urban area, but the contour and curvature that isn't quite organic but is not perfectly straight or symmetrical, it helps a lot, I think, visually to kind of give it a little bit of vibrancy. And you know what, while we're here talking about such things, let's go ahead and just uh-oh, that's our song. It's the end of the playlist. This particular playlist is only 38 minutes long, so we're getting kind of... Alright, I'm going to have to do a little bit of smoothing on that hill there. And I guess I'll just kind of do a little bit of that. I'll come in here, we'll grab basic green tree. Do the same. to learn to get a little bit closer to the edges. Alright. Come back under these green trees, green trees, green trees. Grab the other color. There. Now if I can smooth that hill out. It just kind of ties it all in and hides the roads. I think that's sort of the problem with the way I play these games, you know, trying to plan things out and then build into the plan, as opposed to organically just extending onto the city. It creates a sort of a wireframe, and it just looks very empty. I mean, you know, when this started, and we had it very separated between the different districts, it just looked bad. And you know, once it fills in, I think it looks really good. But my play style just doesn't really work out the same. Where I've got just little chunks. I mean, this is very bare, and I could easily put trees and all that along there to kind of tie it in. But yeah, I think we'll come down here, create more of a reason for people to use this convoluted exit I've built out here. We'll maybe build an airport and kind of create, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and put this down as European so I don't forget. And we'll see what goes on here. I don't know, maybe I'll have a few commercial shops along this just to kind of fill in so it's not totally sparse and green. I mean, we could definitely do something like that here. In fact, University District, that's, no, I can't. I have to create this as its own policy. So, yeah. And then there's these little fill-ins over here. Okay, well, I mean, you know, I think I'm getting into a problem where I'm trying to develop too many different areas at the same time, and then, like I said, I'm trying to fill in, and that kind of makes it look bad. It has that little wireframe look to it. But I mean, I wanted to develop Newtown out here too, a little bit more. So like, this isn't the end of this neighborhood, and we're just going on. I cannot really see this whole thing being that dense, but maybe it will be. Maybe it will be. Especially, I think, going around these hills, I definitely want this to be more organic. It will be very contour-y and not at all gritty. So maybe that'll add a little bit of something to it. I don't know. Probably be a lot more green, you know, something like this section right here. But yeah, anyway, music has stopped. It's time to end the episode. I will see you next time.